to finish out my character assassination series, and I've not been doing it because I keep getting distracted, but I'm going to do it now. Uh, I did one for Han. I did one for Luke. Gonna do one now for Leia. So, we know how George Lucas wrote her character. If you look at film in the past, how women in her sort of social strata are supposed to be seen, Leia's a different kind of princess. So the idea is he was somehow sexist with her is bullshit. Uh, you know, if you look at her rescue from the Death Star, basically the guy's got them cornered and with no way out. She has to take the initiative to get them out. So she's every bit as able to fight as the boys are. Now, let's talk about her. She's raised as the Crown Princess of Valoran. Uh, her father didn't let her be a little girl. It doesn't seem like even in, the OT, there doesn't seem to be any moments of childlike giddiness. She was always all business. When you look at the fact that she was probably exposed to a lot of really, humanitarian missions. What do they, you know, consist of? Starvation, war, disease, you name all the things that happen, you know, if you go on that you will find if you go on a humanitarian mission. So Leia is pretty much not your usual princess. And of course, the youngest, senator in the Imperial Senate. So she's a very serious person when you meet her off the bat. Does she need to be superior to Han and Luke? No. They all bring their own sort of unique specialties to the the table. Leia is a tough, strong woman. She can take care of herself, and when someone gets hurt, she can take care of that person, and if that person gets hurt, she can take care of them. I mean, that's kind of like and she brings her own unique characteristics to the table. It's like this, and what Lucas gave us was a very, I think, reality based woman, a woman who wasn't intimidated by men, who wasn't exactly, I would never call Leia. I don't know if Carrie Fisher would agree with me, but I'm gonna run with it anyway. In fact, I would tell her this, Carrie, wherever you are, you know, I'd like to know what you think on this someday. That Leia didn't need third wave feminism to be a strong, independent minded woman, nor would she have attracted the likes of Han Solo if she was a third wave feminist. All right? A guy like that won't stay around a woman who treats him like shit because he's a man. Uh, Leia gets angry at him because now I'm going to talk a little bit about their relationship. These are two alphas. Leia's an alpha female. She is a leader. She is, let's put an alpha female in the horse herd perspective. If you have an alpha male and mare in the herd, she is the one that tells people where the other horses where to eat, who can lay down and rest, who stands guard. She controls everybody's behavior. Leia's that alpha female. She is very strong. She is a leader. She puts people in their place. She was raised to be that way by her father. She's used to being in command. She runs into a guy that doesn't see her that way. What Han sees, and let's go into a New Hope. Uh, do you remember the scene in the cockpit of the Falcon? She basically Han and Leia are discussing what R2D2 is carrying on him. Leia says it's the plans to the Death Star, and then they get into it. I'm not in it for your. Don't call your. Do not use the same. Come on, Fenrir. Don't call Ryan Johnson that uh, name. That's a term of endearment that Leia gave to Han. Actually, if you think about it. No, he's just. Ryan Johnson's an asshole, but let me finish my thought. Do you remember that scene? Then they get into it, and Leia says, if money is all you want, then that is what you'll get. Han, and then she gets up and looks at Luke and says, it's your friend's quite the mercenary. It's a wonder he cares about anything or anybody. Camera pans back to Solo, and it has a profound look of hurt on his face. Okay? Luke doesn't see it, but the audience sees it. So we understand that she really zinged him on that. Hold that thought. Later, when they get to Yavin 4, they're all jumping on that vehicle to go to wherever they're going to with General Dodonna. Dodonna's like, oh, we thought you were dead. We thought blah, blah, blah. And Leia's like, there's no time to mourn. Uh, Leia, or Han, is the only one that actually pays attention to what she says. So now we've got this, a kernel of thought in Han's head that this girl, for all of her toughness, her resolve, her the public face that she gives to everybody, she's probably hurt inside. She's probably mourning inside. She can't let herself mourn, but she is. Han sees a vulnerable girl. That's why he can call her your worshipfulness. That's why he can call her highnessness. And say princess sarcastically to piss her off. Because he doesn't see her like that. He sees her as this beautiful, vulnerable young woman who doesn't give herself a chance to feel. Okay? And she resents him for it because she understands. And that is the crux of their argument and the passion that's going on because she realizes he sees into the bullshit. And she actually sees into his bullshit. I mean, why does he stay with the rebellion? You don't have to. You don't believe in what they're doing. He thinks they're on a suicide mission. But why? Let's put it this way. Before he signed papers to be a general in the Rebel Alliance, he was already committed to Leia, whether he said it or not. And he stayed 3 years before The Empire Strikes Back, which pretty much proves something to me. Han Solo is a man of action. Leia is the catalyst for his change, and this is why she's so important as a woman. Leia doesn't demand he change to be a good boy. By her being Leia, he wants to be a better man. She makes him want to be a better man, and that is why Leia is such an important role model for women. You never, and this is the lesson that I get from her, you never, ever tell a man, change for me. Change your clothes, shave the beard, lose the weight. You know, why do you love somebody if you want to change them? You don't love them. All right? Darling, I love you, now change. Doesn't help. Doesn't work in a relationship, especially with a very passionate, uh, willful man like Han Solo, an alpha male. Okay? Uh, in it, this is why Leia is so important. In essence, she doesn't say anything. She doesn't really do anything except to be who she is. And that is why he stayed with the Rebel Alliance. And that is why he fell in love with her. All right? That is why he wanted to be a better man. And then, so we get into The Empire Strikes Back, and the relationship comes to a head. Now, I'm going to have to dig more, but there has to be some sort of old EU canon about what happened at Ord Mantell. I have read some good fanfic about it. All we know is that they ran into bounty hunters. Boba Fett might have been one of them. Apparently, Leia almost gets killed, and that was a catalyst to make Han realize that he was endangering her, and that's why he kind of felt like he had to go, and pay off Jabba. He doesn't realize just how bad it had gotten, uh, and it kind of gives a person a second thought when they realize that, was he running away from the bounty hunters? Maybe. Did he realize how bad it had gotten? Apparently not. Why did he stay with the Rebel Alliance? Leia. Leia is the change agent. She's a change agent for him. All right? Thus her importance. And this is why she's such an exquisite character. So we get to The Empire Strikes Back. They have a huge argument. Leia, when you watch the first encounter, after he's in the command center and says to General Riken, I'm leaving, I can't stay any longer. Leia follows him out and says, I thought you decided to stay. And then they have their big argument. So to me, just the look on her face says that she had thought, Jesus is coming. I don't think you understand what I'm saying. Watch the whole video, okay? So, does she know that he's leaving? And does she keep it to herself until she says, that's right, when he says, so long, princess? Because, to her, it's like, but then she follows him. So she follows him and they have a confrontation. He's basically saying, you want me to stay because of the way you feel about me. And she won't do it because she's afraid. She is afraid to feel. All right? And what I find fascinating is this guy who has pushed people away from him, all of a sudden won't push her away. But he's trying to get her to make the first step, which is, there's such a sophistication to this whole thing that you can see so much going on between these two. So we get to him rescuing her from the command center, and then her, them on the Falcon, and basically that first kiss, at least the first kiss that we know of. And, what happened on the Falcon after, actually, it's not the love, I don't think that is a love story, Red Fox. I really think that the TLJ thing was supposed to be Raylo. I totally absolve you if you want to vomit, because the whole fucking thing makes me want to vomit. But anyway, so, let's go back to this. They're at sublight speed. They're in the Anoet system. They're going to Bespin. How long did it take them? Did it take them 10 days? Did it take them 2 weeks? Did it take them, a month? One standard year month? 40 days? We don't know. What happened on that ship? Something did, because when you get to Cloud City, and I would assume that, this is my theory, Vader allowed them at least one night to and get comfortable before he sprung his trap, which is actually pretty smart. That she's wearing a red dress. She goes from wearing white to a bright color, red meaning, you know what red means. You know what red means. Okay, so what happened? And what I love about this whole thing is Irvin Kershner said that he had never had to direct a movie where the romance was implied. Now, the scene by the sofa in Cloud City before Vader springs his trap, there's a deleted scene where she sits down at the sofa, they have a conversation, and they kiss. And let me tell you, if they left it in there'd been no doubt what was going on. Okay, no doubt at all. But because Lucas understood, and I think Kurtz and Kershner understood what they were trying to do, is they went to the forehead kiss, and then they sit down, and then she says, we'll soon be out. Then he says, we'll soon be out of here, and then she says, well, you're as good as gone then, aren't you? And he gives her that big sad puppy dog look, the one that all the girls go, I'll go with you. I know I did. I was 12. And that, everything there was implied. But the color of her costumes, the way, the tender way he treats her, and the it's Leia's upset. She doesn't want him to leave. You know, um, and the fact is that he's putting himself in danger by going to Jabba, because Jabba's not just going to let him walk away. Thank you for the money. Thank you for the time. I'll call it the bounty hunters. That's not the way that would work. I've thought about it, and that's not the way it was going to work. So, you got that. Leia, all through the torture, all through the carbon freeze process, she's very strong. She's strong for him, all right? He's strong for her. I mean, if one of them even broke a little bit, you know, she backs him up. He backs her up. That is a relationship, okay? Go to Return of the Jedi. Leia goes from Ice Princess to this girl who's stepped into womanhood and The Empire Strikes Back, who is on the verge of losing the man she adores, to rescuing him in Return of the Jedi. And we don't see her as this cold, like, sort of statue anymore. She's a very grown up, beautiful, sensual woman that puts herself on the line to rescue her man, gets herself captured, is degraded. I'm going to do this real quick. Let's talk about the metal bikini. I think Carrie Fisher had a love-hate relationship with it. First off, if I had that body and looked like that, and I was her, I'd be like, damn, I looked hot. And I know she thought that. It's also a hate relationship, feeling like that's what people remember. And I understand that. However, there's a reason why. It's not that Lucas himself degraded Leia. It's that they wanted to show what Jabba did to women he captured. Sex slaves in general, female slaves in general. This was Jabba's, even if he is a slug, misogyny towards women. All right? You don't see any women in Jabba's, you know, entourage with any sort of a command experience. You have dancing girls, Twi'lek dancing girls. You have, bizarre backup singers. Whatever the hell size Snoodles was. The six-breasted chick. I think that was Lena Dunham. You have all that stuff. And, but you don't see any woman in a position of any sort of management authority working for Jabba, unless they look like bounty hunters or maybe smugglers themselves, like in the entourage in the crowd. But really, there's no female major domo. Okay, there's a male Twi'lek, and that's Bib Fortuna. So, there's no one there. And Leia is basically degraded by Jabba for two reasons. One, to put Leia in her place as you are nothing but chattel to me from Jabba. Two, if Han could see, he could see what Jabba did to Leia, which is she's mine now to do with whatever I want. What was once yours is mine. Right? That's all that costume meant. And when you look at it that way, it's a very good plot device to make you understand what women's futures were in the galaxy, in certain parts of the galaxy, okay? And that is actually something worth exploring, I would think, in some sort of adventure, should, Disney ever decide to go do that, but of course, they friggin' won't. So, but then they escape, Leia kills Jabba, and off to, getting Han back to the Falcon, going back to the fleet. I would imagine him needing some medical attention. Because, what is it, 6 months to a year? Stuck in not even really suspended animation. If you think about that, you got to think about it. just what Han went through. Um, and that Leia has to support him through this. And it might also, you know, I have a bone to pick with Larry Kasdan as far as Han is concerned because it's like people stopped being creative with him. Thanks, Red. Thank you, Red. People stopped being creative with that character, and it kind of bums me out because you could see so much going on there that should have been explored, but that's for another video. So anyway, we've got Leia going from Ice Princess to beautiful grown up woman in love with a man, finally seeing the end of something she'd wanted to see ended ever since she was a little girl, the end of the Empire. She discovers she has a brother and a family. All right. This woman has gone, I mean, she's gone full circle and she has not lost any of her power, any of her identity. She's grown in it. So, why did they turn her into almost a parody of herself? I felt so bad for Carrie Fisher with the Leia Poppins thing. I was mortified, right? I was so angry. I was outraged. I almost walked out. There were several times I almost walked out. I almost threw up popcorn when they had you know, a shirtless Kylo or Kyle Ron. What the fuck was that? Oh, I almost went spontaneously blind. Um, but you know, and then the way she treats Poe, that is not Leia. Um, that is not Leia at all that we know, that we grew up with. Uh, there's not the Leia that was basically on equal terms with General Riken, uh, General Dodonna. Uh, you know, this, was not our Leia. I don't know who she was, but they turned her into a sad, dried up parody of herself. The fact she doesn't even mention Han's name. She just lost her husband. All right, regardless of what the Raylo and the solo haters out there, the third wave millennial bitches who wouldn't know what to do with an alpha male if he asked them for directions, think, you know, this is what I took from The Force Awakens. Han just never came back home. He had an argument with Leia about Ben or something. Something bad happened, and he never went home. That's it. They were still married, all right? And when I think about that, that unrequited, that there's no closure for her, they didn't let her have any closure, is in the movie so we could see it, is bullshit. At the end when Luke gives her Han's lucky dice. Is that it? Is that all we get in the movie? Fuck you. This woman went through hell for that man. He went through hell for her. Respect the goddamn, audience. All right? Respect the characters. This is not how you do female characters. If that had been me, first off, my son would never have done that. I'd have killed him. I'd have killed him myself. But if that had been me and that was my husband, I would have lost my mind. I mean, oh goody, my son shoved the crossbar of his ridiculous looking, stupid ass lightsaber in my husband's chest for no apparent reason. I raised a fucking psycho, okay? We don't get to see her go through any emotional turmoil. It was time for something like that. Now, in the novel, apparently they're going to have Han's memorial service, a funeral. And Leia, one line that I remember, it's Mike Zero. If you ever want to see a ridiculous fanboy, go to Mike Zero and just watch one of his Star Wars videos. His lightsaber was stupid, Red Fox. fucking gay. Okay, it was a gay lightsaber. If you ever want to go and watch ridiculous videos, ridiculous fanboy, go to Mike Zero's, okay, page or YouTube channel. He's literally the most ridiculous fanboy I have ever seen in my life. And I'm not kidding. I've seen a lot of ridiculous stuff, too. Yeah, isn't he a dick? He's so stupid. Jeez. Anyway, you know, I, you know, I don't get it. So we get to see it. We get to see it in the novel, but she says, "My son killed my husband." That's it. That's all the. Is that all she says? I'm not gonna buy the book. I want someone to get me a copy of it, because what I'm gonna do is I'm going to put it in the fire bowl outside, set it on fire, and put it on YouTube here. We'll do a live YouTube of it burning, and that'll be awesome. Symbolically, because I don't believe in book burning. All right, it's burning the ideology behind this shit. And the thing that pisses me off the most is they basically took Leia's personal journey from this closed off girl to a beautiful woman with her identity intact but a grown up to who can fully embrace her her feminine sexual side and yet be the leader she needs to be to this I don't know what the fuck she was. I really, really don't. But they butchered her character. All right. Um, I felt so bad for Carrie. You know, I, 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 I really felt bad for Carrie. I really, really did. And I really wish someone would have said, "I'm not going to do this anymore. I quit," and walked away. I really, really wish someone would have done that. But, you know, so we get basically Leia regressing back to, when we first meet her in A New Hope, but more, one dimensional. Uh, more, one, uh, this, like I said, one dimensional, more, cartoonish and not in the Disney way, just, vague, really just a parody of who Leia was. It's really sickening, and it's not how you do basically a three-act play, which is what when you look at the OT and the sequels, it should be a three-act play. Oh yeah, the OT, the first act, the coming of age thing for her. We don't have a middle act. All we know is that she and Han got married, had a kid or kids. This should have been her third act, going into her retirement. I am going to read you guys something, uh, maybe later this week or maybe later tonight. Something that George Lucas sent to Del Rey about what he wanted to have happen to his characters, and it'll piss you all off. Uh, so this is Steph signing out. Uh, the character assassination and murder of Leia or Princess Leia. Uh, you know, she was a great female role model. Basically show girls how to go from how to be a grown up woman and still keep who you are independent. And, apparently we're not supposed to do that anymore. That's not how it's done. But anyway, this is Steph signing out. See you around the galaxy.